Hello guys, hope all is good. My name's Marco here, this is We Love Betting. Coming to talk to you about the Football League ahead this weekend. I'm not going to be writing a piece for the weekend, I'm pretty hungover, so I thought I'd record a video instead. Luckily I'd done my prep before Thursday night, so hopefully this information is still accurate. But first of all, starting in the Championship, we'll talk about Hull against Nottingham Forest. It's the evening kickoff on Sky Sports, the 5:30 match. It's a match I've covered in another video elsewhere with the 188bet and the two marks. I'm really liking goals in this game. I think over 2.5 goals in both teams to score at even money with William Hill is probably the best play. Leonard Slutsky, such a likeable, affable guy, really hailed their away win last weekend at Barnsley as probably the most important of their season. Ended a run of 25 away league games without victory. They were denied at the death in games at Norwich and Reading recently, quite unlucky there, but they did ride their luck at Oakwell, beaten 21-8 on the shot count. Barnsley really bossed that match. It was Hull's first clean sheet since August, and you know they really probably should have conceded in that match. They've actually now taken 7 points from the last 3 games, so they are heading in the right direction, and they are the Championship's top goal scorers too. Obviously that figure's clouded by the 6 goals they put past Birmingham before the last international break. They're taking on a Nottingham Forest team who, for me, are struggling, although the league table doesn't seem to suggest it. I've often said the league table does lie, especially at this early stage. Well, they were booed off last weekend at half-time at home to Burton. Obviously came 7 days after they were beaten in the derby by Derby. Really poor and passive first-half performance last weekend. Warburton ripped into them at half-time. They did come out and win the match 2-0, but fine margins went in their favour. The Brewers fluffed their lines a few times. My ratings have Nottingham Forest down in the bottom 6 across most of the sort of metrics that I look at. They've only won 4 times away from home since the start of last season. 4 clean sheets in those 29 away games too, so I don't expect them to keep Hull out here. Interestingly, 10 of Hull's 13 games have seen both sides score since Leonard Slutsky's arrived. And collectively, these two teams have kept only 6 clean sheets in 26 matches in the Championship this season, but they have scored in 23 of those 26. 16, that's 62%, have seen over 2.5 goals paid out. And both of these two clubs are in the top 5 for total expected goals from open play, around the 2.5 mark, which is really strong, and 3.5 mark if you take in the whole of expected goals, not just from open play. So both very strong statistics there. Moving down into League One, then Fleetwood take on Oxford, a game I'm really interested in. Two teams, well, Fleetwood I've backed for promotion pre-season, struggling really to hit last season's heights. Defensively they've been pretty poor, I'll come on to that. And Oxford as well, I thought Oxford would sort of regress slightly after last season with Appleton leaving and a bunch of key players departing as well in the summer, but fair play to them there. They're in and around there, and the performance data is very strong. Fleetwood edged out 1-0 at Shrewsbury last weekend. You know, on reflection, doesn't look too bad losing to the league leaders away from home, but they just didn't intend to even win that match. Battened down the hatches, failed to land a shot on target in the game, and it's the first time this season that they'd actually failed to score. Really disappointing from Uwe Rosler. His team didn't really go with the intent to try and win that game, which I thought was disappointing and quite surprising too. But they've really struggled from set pieces this season. They conceded 7 goals from dead ball situations and a further 7 goals from open play crosses into the box. So they seem to struggle aerially. Maybe that's not Oxford's biggest strength, but they've still got Wes Thomas up front who can cause problems. And also at Highbury, they've struggled in recent times, just 1 win in 5. They've conceded at least 2 goals in 5 of their 7 home games. Have actually scored twice or more in 6 of those 7 themselves. But even still, that's quite alarming statistics defensively. At home, they've only failed to score in 5 of 30 games under Uwe Rosler, and they've also got Ash Hunter and Wes Burns back full fitness. They've got 5 available forwards with Geordie Howula, Devante Cole and Connor McElhaney also back to full fitness. Burns and Ash Hunter played in midweek in the development team, impressed. So plenty of options really for Fleetwood going forward, and as I said, struggling defensively in key areas. Oxford, the last 5 are unbeaten. They've won 3 of those. Drew Rotherham last weekend. They were disappointed with that. 3-1 up and drew 3-3. They've actually picked up 4 points more than at the same stage of the season last year under Appleton. So fair play to Pep Clotet for for keeping Oxford going in the right direction. Jack Payne's been wonderful in the number 10 role behind Wes Thomas. But they've also got Jonathan Abika returning from injury to sort of add a bit more bite and brawn to that forward line. They've had 14 different goal scorers already this season, so they're not relying on one player. The goals are being spread around. They've got threats all over the park. And they've won the last 2 games on the road, and they tend to be very good operators on their travels. 6 defeats and 21 away from home, scored in 23 of 30 away games since the start of last season. You know, they're very impressive figures. So my bet here is both teams to score at 4-5. Oxford's games are averaging around 3 goals, 3 expected goals from open play in total, which is very encouraging too. And if you look at actual goals, collectively these two are averaging 3.22 if you take into account their home and away fixtures. And collectively they've only failed to score in 3 of 29 games, including 17 successful both teams to score selections. So strong statistics there for a goal-heavy game at Fleetwood. And finally, the opposite really, Lincoln take on Crawley. I'm backing under 2.5 goals at 13-14. I believe it's with the Unibet. Lincoln lost for the first time in 6 at Cheltenham last time. Had 3 wins in 5 before that. A real scrappy game, but they were disappointed not to get something. Scott Flinders had a man of the match performance in the Cheltenham goal. Lost 1-0, did Lincoln. So they'll be hoping for a bounce back here. They're down in 10th, but performances have warranted a lot more, especially defensively. They've been absolutely superb, really limiting their opposition to very few and far opportunities in the final third. They're so well organised out of possession, and a big thumbs up really to the Cowley brothers for that. But they're lacking something in the final third. They've only scored twice or more in 6 games so far this season. They obviously signed Cameron Stewart in midweek. He should add a bit of quality out wide, but you know, I still think they're lacking in the final third at the moment. They're at home this weekend, so they'll be expected to put on a show. Just the 1 defeat, that was by an odd goal to Mansfield. 3 wins in 7. But they've won 3, drawn 1 and lost 0 at home to the bottom half. So, as I say, they should be expected to get something here. But I just think opposing the goals here against Crawley is the way to go. Under 1.5 goals is landed in 4 or 5 Lincoln games. 9 of their 15 overall have seen under 2.5. You know, I think the repeat at 13-14 is more than good enough to take, because Lincoln's games, if you look at expected goals from open play, by a distance is the lowest in the league in total, 1.65. And Crawley, fair play to Crawley last weekend, written off really when they went to Luton, at home to Luton I should say, picked up a 0-0 draw, which was a tremendous result, really determined display. Mark Connolly and Panucci Camera coming out of really rave reviews for exceptional performances really, and I think keeping a clean sheet against a rampant Luton team who scored 34 league goals previously was, you know, kudos to Harry Kewell for that. They had only won twice at home since February, so they do seem to be suited to be playing away. They were booed off when losing at home to Chesterfield just days before really that Luton performance, so it shows they can put together some decent defensive displays. It's up front where they're really lacking. Obviously James Collins leaving in the summer, failed to score now in 3 of the last 4, only scored 1 goal in 5. All of those 5 games saw under 2.5, 4 of them saw under 1.5 goals. They've actually only conceded 2 or more goals in 4 games under Harry Kewell in the league, which deserves credit, you know. Conceded only 16 goals overall, that's the lowest in the bottom half of League 2. But as I say, struggling in the final third, just failing to score in 7 of their 15 games. And you know, Kewell has come out, and the players actually publicly, and said, you know, we really need a goal scorer if we're going to prosper. They're the joint lowest goal scorers in League 2 at the moment. Kewell's been playing sort of wingers and forward areas, wanting a bit more pace and power, but it's just not really working for them in the final third. 10 of their 15 games overall have seen under 2.5 goals. So if you combine the 2 teams together, under 2.5 has actually won in 19 of their combined 30 League 2 matches. It's 13-4, you know, not far off even money here. I think that's a great bet. So in reverse order, Lincoln against Crawley, under 2.5 goals at 13-14. Fleetwood against Oxford, both teams to score at 4-5. And I'm going for over 2.5 goals and both teams to score when Hull play Forest in the Championship at even money. Best of luck.